Hi friends, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Chloe, the creator of kozykale, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to find your Mercury placement, how it affects you, and how it affects those around you possibly as well if you are cross-watching. So if you want to know a little more about that, please do stick around. Does have timestamps, so if you already know how to find your Mercury placement, or you already know it, or you already know a friend's, go ahead and look at the timestamps down below or in the comment section. If you are on a PC, you can use the below section or the description section. If you're on mobile, you have to use the comment section, but it will be the top pinned comment, and just go ahead and click on your sign and follow the information there. If you like videos like this, please also do not forget to give me a like and hit the subscribe button, as this is actually the start of a lengthy series on going over different parts of your astrology chart. So please do follow along for more videos like it in the future. So a little bit of background on the planet Mercury. Mercury is actually our innermost planet in our solar system, and it actually takes as little as 88 days to make a full complete trip around the sun. So us on planet Earth, it takes us 365 days to make a complete trip around the sun, but Mercury actually does this multiple times throughout the year because its trip is so short because it's so close to the sun. Mercury was actually named after the Roman god or Roman deity Mercury, and Mercury was actually known as the messenger of the gods. In astrology, Mercury rules over communications, speech, writing, reason. It is how we get our point across to other people and how we actually mentally process things. And it also rules over travel and electronics. So this is why when we have a Mercury retrograde, which if you want a video on that in the future, let me know in the comment section. If we are going through a Mercury retrograde, we will see a lot of car accidents. We will see travel plans go awry. We will see communications with people fail. People maybe getting into more arguments because we're not understanding each other in the same way. And a lot of times we will also see just like a lot of failures in technology. You'll have like text messages don't send, or you lose a complete file, or you accidentally lose a bunch of audio, or this whole project you've been working on. So double, triple, quadruple check your saves during a Mercury retrograde because things will go haywire. They always do. Mercury is represented by this symbol here. So if you ever look at a birth chart and you're like, what the heck are all these symbols? I'm going to be showing you through each planet as this series continues what each symbol looks like. So this is the one that actually corresponds to Mercury. And Mercury is also the ruling planet of Virgo and Gemini. So if you are a Virgo or a Gemini, you are actually very much so ruled by the planet of Mercury. So if you guys are wanting to find your Mercury placement, I will show you how to do it on mobile. I assume most of you guys are watching this on a phone or have access to a phone. If not, just follow the same directions that I'm giving you, but do so on a PC. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's easier for me to show you on mobile because that's what I have here. But basically, you are going to open up your internet browser tab. You are going to type in astro-seek.com, and you're gonna hit go. You're gonna ignore the time limit for today. I do have screen stuff on, and obviously I'm not listening to that today. So the splash page will open up. It looks like this. You're gonna click on astrology charts. Let that load up. Ignore this again. And then from there, you're actually going to scroll down to this box and you're going to put your information in. I'm just going to put a random day and time in. I'm not going to mess with this. To get your Mercury placement, you don't actually have to know your birth time for this unless you're looking at the house system, then you may want to. But for this, we're just going to say time unknown. Check your birth certificate if you are looking for the birth time, and you know, wherever city you were born. When we say city, don't necessarily look at your hometown. Look at the hospital that you were born in's town, because sometimes it's different. So I'm just gonna type in a few letters. Cool, Guatemala City, let's go. And then if you're on mobile, you're actually gonna scroll all the way down to the bottom. Oops, not quite the bottom. It's like, this is the bottom. You're going to go until you find this. And then looking at this chart, there's a sun, a moon, and then Mercury. So if you see on this chart, Mercury is actually in Pisces for this random chart that I generated. And so then if you are a Mercury in Pisces or wherever yours falls, go ahead and click the timestamp down below to learn about your placement. Now, if you don't understand these symbols, you can actually click on Mercury and it will tell you. It'll bring you right to the Mercury part of your chart and it will say Mercury in Pisces or whatever that might be. And there will also be symbols next to the timestamps. So rest assured, you will be able to know which is which, even if you're not familiar with zodiac symbols. So let's go ahead and jump into what each sign means. So if you are an Aries Mercury, what up, my squad? I'm also an Aries Mercury. It can be a little bit of a complicated placement, I'm not gonna lie about it. People always think you are yelling, like you are just perpetually always yelling. And it's funny because I will be like very passionately talking about something and my husband, who's a Capricorn Mercury, will be like, Chloe, stop yelling, like to other people. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not yelling. I'm just loud. Like, that's just how I communicate. I feel like I have a very aggressive edge to me, and people with Aries Mercury placements will be a little bit more aggressive in their approach, but it's not in the way that like if you were an Aries Mars, it would be. It's just when you are talking about something that you really know what you're talking about, or you're trying to get a point across to someone, you may just come off a little bit more aggressive. You are someone that is going to definitely put your foot in your mouth or not think before you speak. That is definitely a mark of an Aries Mercury. Something else that's really difficult about this placement is you sometimes will come off a little bit too harsh to others, especially if you are dealing with somebody that's like a Cancer Mercury. Your words might be a little too harsh for them to handle. So just maybe dial it back a little when you can so that you can actually be understood by people that are a little bit more sensitive. Aries placements in Mercury can also be a little bit on the impatient side. You want to just get the words out now. There is also a big mood of don't tell me what to do. And that is definitely true for myself. You don't ever tell me what to do. Something that will also help an Aries Mercury placement is to not do things out of obligation. This is one of the fastest ways that you will find yourself getting more upset and maybe having that aggression come out a little bit more, is if you're not listening to yourself and doing things because you actually want to and you're doing it out of obligation. And if you find that you're losing interest in things, because that is also a mark of an Aries Mercury, you'll lose interest as quickly as you gain it in certain subjects because it is how we mentally process things. If you find that you're losing interest in something that is really important, like a work project, find in that scenario what can make it competitive. Not competitive with other people. I mean, if that's your jam, go for it. But I find that to be very self-sabotaging because you can't always control those outcomes, but make something a competitive game with yourself. For instance, if you're working on a really intensive work project that is just not interesting to you, make it a game. I can get this much done in this much time, or however you see fit in making it into a game. Compete with yourself to keep it interesting. Something that Aries Mercury also absolutely loves and adores is proving the haters wrong and stunting on them. So if you ever have somebody who just like doesn't believe in what you're saying or what you're doing, nothing makes an Aries Mercury happier than literally being like, told you so, but not even necessarily saying it, but just actually showing it off that like, but you were wrong. You will also do your best if you are fearlessly expressing yourself, because you are somebody that really is more fearless when expressing yourself. So if you feel like you are in an environment where you can't do that, it's going to be a lot harder for you to express yourself. So make sure that you're in an environment and surrounded by people that really give that to you and allow you to speak your truth in a way that is fearless to you, because the words will come out effortlessly. You may also find that you're really impulsive by nature, but the cool thing about that is there is a bit of a stroke of luck to it, because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. more often than not, your first thought or your first idea tends to be the right one. So thankfully that plays in your favor. All right, so if you are a Taurus Mercury, you are somebody that is going to be a little bit more stable in your thinking process. You are someone that needs more proof. You need proof to actually believe certain things. You are someone that you need to be able to see the outcome well before you actually act on something, because Taurus is the sign of stability. And so I would say that Taurus might be a little bit uncomfortable here in Mercury because it's so mentally quick, and Taurus likes to slow things down. Taurus is the like long and steady pace, but they're not quite as fast as Mercury moves. I hope that is making sense for you guys, but Taurus might be a little bit uncomfortable here because they prefer a slow and steady wins the race. Taurus is also a sign that you are going to find more in introverted situations in this placement, because you are definitely going to find them being more wrapped up in a book, in a comfy chair, versus out there running the head of a party. That's just not really in them to do that with a Mercury placement. You also tend to look at projects as, what is my investment return going to be on this, instead of just going in on it for the hell of it. You want to know almost what you're going to get out of it, but what is your investment going to be worth the return? You also operate from a very tried and true methods perspective versus just riding by the seat of your pants and seeing what happens. You kind of come up with a method for yourself, you see it work once, and then you will continually carry out a process like that. Taurus really doesn't like change. Another thing to know about Taurus Mercury is you can be very stubborn and dogmatic. So once you have kind of made up your mind about something, you're going to be very stubborn in letting anyone change it. And it often causes you to write off other people's opinions and almost have a more of a my way or the highway attitude. So be careful with that. If you're in the company of people that don't see things the way that you do, try to be a little bit more open if possible, because it's going to make people shut down very quickly. You, Taurus Mercury, process things the best if you have a step-by-step formula, and you also work your best when you actually take really big tasks and narrow them down into a lot of really small incremental steps. If you are a Gemini Mercury, this is a really fun placement because Mercury rules over Gemini. So this is a placement that really is at home in its natal sign. But the thing is that you guys are very, very fast thinkers, and you love a variety of topics. You love to sink yourself into multiple facets. You guys are expert multitaskers, and you tend to not really know a lot of factual information about any one thing. You know a lot of little tidbits about a lot of different things, but no one would ever really know that about you because Gemini is a very clever sign. So you know how to play it off like you know a lot about something if you really don't, and you only know like little menial facts. You know how to kind of stretch that and make it seem like you know a lot when you don't. Definitely a trait of a Gemini Mercury. You thrive on facts and information, little dates here and there. You're like a walking, I want to say it's like, not a thesaurus, but like a walking, are there any books that have just like a bunch of facts? Is that like an almanac? I don't know. I'm not sure, but you're like a walking little book of facts. You are very charismatic. People will enjoy your conversation, even though it's very quick. You might actually dominate a conversation as well. And I would say the only people that really would get frustrated with a Gemini Mercury are people that feel like they can't get a word in edgewise with you. So be careful of dominating the conversation. But for the most part, you guys are really excellent conversationalists, and people will really thrive on your charismatic energy and being around that kind of energy. It's very intoxicating in a good way. You're also a very animated speaker, and it's really funny as I'm doing this, I'm realizing that I'm a very animated speaker, but I'm a Gemini moon, so like I have very prominent Gemini energy that comes out, and I can see it even right now. You're really great at small talk and breaking the ice with other people. You will never really struggle in making conversation with anyone. Like, you give a Gemini Mercury any person and they can make conversation with anyone. The one thing I would also warn Gemini Mercury placements against is not making everything that interests you into your career, because if you do, you're going to end up with a million little careers and then in over your head. So be really careful with that, because Gemini is so interested in a lot of different things. Just try not to absorb that into the career world. Just pick a few things and stick with that. And Gemini Mercuries would also make really wonderful public speakers or teachers. If you are a Cancer Mercury, you are going to be a little bit more sensitive to what others think of you. And you are definitely somebody that feels more into things versus says what you're thinking, and you don't let people necessarily all the way in. It takes you feeling safe and supported to actually come out of your shell and express yourself openly and freely around others. You genuinely speak with the words "I'm feeling" before anything else. You also tend to take on too much tasks around you, and then you end up bottling up the resentment from it because you've taken on too much, and then it's just like this really negative feedback loop. So be careful of overextending yourself and agreeing to do too much for others. You would be better known as the office mom. You also tend to have a really high emotional intelligence. Like, you guys are definitely the people that you can pick apart situations in emotional settings very easily. You can see what someone else is saying and you know the emotions that are backing it up. You guys are the people that you can really pick apart and see into the depths of things. Not necessarily the way that Scorpio does, that's a little bit different, but you guys know how to get to the heart of the matter. Even if you're not saying it, you're hearing it. You guys also tend to lean very heavily on small, intimate friendship circles and family circles. You guys are also very quick to feel like everyone is like always talking about you, and you're quick to feel really insecure if social settings are too large. And on top of that, you guys also may worry incessantly about your stability and your security, because remember, Mercury is a sign that is very quick paced in terms of mental movement. And so when we think about things that are moving too quickly in a sign that maybe wants to slow things down a little bit, we do have to talk a little bit more about the pressure points and the stress points. So you guys are individuals that are going to worry a little bit more incessantly about the small things. You guys are also much more likely to treat feelings as factual information. It's like you guys are really more ruled by intuition versus the logical mind, and we see that play out in a Mercury placement for you. If you have a Leo Mercury, you probably find yourself very attracted to the fine arts, to theater, to drama. You guys have this very magnetic energy about you that draws people in. You have a really beautiful flourish for the theatrics, and you guys just know how to entertain a room. You guys are extremely playful. You know how to have a good time. You know how to express. You know how to get others to join in on the conversation and also have a good time. People feel good around you. I always say that Leo is the sign that teaches the world how to love themselves. And I feel like this definitely still applies to a Leo Mercury placement, where you guys are speaking the words of self-love, and so other people are hearing it and also gravitating towards loving themselves when they're around you. Especially a high vibrating Leo with like major Leo energy in their chart period, you're going to get that. You also are someone that is definitely going to cheer other people on. You are definitely the cheerleader of the group. You're going to be the one in the back being like, you got this, you got this. You know, you're teaching people constantly through the things that you say how to love and appreciate themselves. Something on the flip side of a Leo Mercury is you may be unconsciously, actually constantly testing people's loyalty through just little things. And until you're aware of it, like I said, it might be something that's even happening subconsciously. So be careful of that. Leo really does at their core love to be praised. And so you will test people's loyalty a lot of times, especially if you are a Leo Mercury and it's coming out in conversation. It is also easy for you guys to hyper focus on projects that you are very passionate about. And you guys also have this wonderful eloquence about you. You have the ability to truly move people with your storytelling abilities, and this is why I said you guys in particular have a gift for the theater or performing arts, because you literally can access the power of moving people to tears with the way that you tell stories and articulate them. If you are a Virgo Mercury or a Mercury in Virgo, you guys, again, kind of like Gemini, if you were listening to that one, you guys are right at home here as Mercury actually rules over Virgo. And you guys have extremely analytical minds. You want to know the facts. You guys are fact-finding machines. You don't just want to know the facts from one perspective of someone's story. You want to know the facts from all the stories around you, from every person, so you can look at everything from each individual facet and then actually make your judgment and your assumption based on that. And so when you do that, however, it is very hard for people to change your mind. Kind of like Taurus, once you've made up your mind, it's pretty well set there, and people will not be able to convince you otherwise. Another thing about I would say this kind of applies to people with major Virgo energy, period. But with a Virgo Mercury, if you're not careful, you do have a tendency to pick others apart and yourself apart. Because you are so highly analytical, you will analyze the people around you and you will also analyze yourself. And especially in terms of communication and how you're communicating with others, you may be the one that is like openly casting a lot of judgment because you're analyzing other people. So be really careful with that. It's not a cute look. That is definitely something in my own life, from an Aries Mercury to Leo or to Virgo Mercuries. That is something that I knock real hard on heads with people that have Virgo Mercury or major Virgo energy. Because you're just so analytical by nature and it's something that you really enjoy doing, processing, but sometimes you need to just keep those processes to yourself. You guys also really want to know why. You guys are very methodical. You are excellent workers and communicators in your field. You are constantly asking questions because you want to have more and more information to analyze. You guys also, interestingly enough, tend to be very emotionally detached because you guys are so in your analytical mind. It's not that you can't be emotional. Rest assured, we all have moon signs and emotional placements. So recognize that it might be different based on that placement for you. But if you are a Virgo Mercury, you may be a little more detached from your emotions and you are quick to get frustrated with how fragile other humans can be. You are also somebody who is obsessed with mastery and you are constantly trying to master and perfect yourself and your skills and your crafts. If you are a Libra Mercury, you are somebody who is perpetually always making a pro and con list. And it is really true what they say about Libra in this placement in particular. Y'all can't make a damn decision to save your life. And it is because you guys are so focused on wanting to make the right decisions that you will perpetually sit and weigh the pro and con, the pro and the con, the pro and the con, when you are mentally sifting through things. And so it takes you a really long time to make a choice. However, when you do make the choice, rest assured you've thought long and hard about it. You guys actually have really, really great intuition, but you also try to go about things with logic. And so that kind of stampedes right over your intuition. You will use mental clarity to try and understand intuition, and those two can coexist, but it's almost like your intellect comes in and like tries to doubt what you're feeling. You guys love a good conversation. You guys are wonderful conversationalists, the life of the party, the gracious host. People love that energy. You guys have such a beautiful energy. You don't ever really want to stir the pot, though you may be attracted to drama. You never want to be in the middle of it. You are always trying to figure out a way to balance the crowd around you and to balance situations around you, because you actually don't enjoy the drama when you're involved. You don't enjoy stirring the pot. You actually want everyone to be on the same page. You want everything to be fair and equal. You're also someone who is very easy to persuade, and you are someone that can fall into the role of a people pleaser because you want everyone to get along. You want everything to be fair, and you will kind of slip into this pleasing mode where you need to. Some people I feel like would say that that makes you like sly and that they don't really like Libras for that characteristic. You guys also may tend to have a major issue with procrastination. You may find that you procrastinate pretty frequently, and if it gets a foothold on you, you guys will again perpetually stay in this state of not making decisions. So be really careful in terms of procrastinating. You know, everybody does it. Everybody's prey to procrastination every once in a while, but I feel like Libra, Mercury in particular, will stay there if they're not careful. If you are a Scorpio Mercury, y'all are like the investigators. You guys are so good at picking up on subtleties. It's almost scary. You guys are able to pick up on body language. You guys are able to pick up on subtleties in tone. You guys are able to see things that people are not showing to you outwardly. You guys literally are like the freaking FBI. Like, y'all are up there doing the CIA stuff. Y'all are out there. You also work really well in environments where you get to use those investigation skills. You guys are also people that do not do anything half-ass. You guys whole-ass everything. You're very deeply passionate people, and you also tend to be very introverted. You need a lot of time and space to actually sift through your mental processes, and you do the best when you have groups of friends that handle things similarly, because it's not that you're like a low maintenance friend, but you don't require a lot of talking to other people to feel fulfilled, because you are constantly in a state of isolation and you prefer to be there. It's like where you feel the most comfortable is just kind of on your own processing things. You guys are also highly emotionally intelligent, just the way that Cancer Mercury is. Nothing slides past you guys. Literally, as I said, you guys pick up on all those little subtleties. People cannot lie to you. You are like a human lie detector. You guys are also fascinated by self-development and psychology. You would actually maybe serve really well if you chose to go into those fields. You also prefer to work alone versus in a group or a team effort. Though I do feel like Scorpio placements here can come off a little cold and distant. Something to be really noted here is that you guys will go to the ends of the earth for someone that you love deeply. If you are a Sagittarius Mercury, you guys are easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, okay? You guys are a lot more carefree than most. However, you do not tolerate censorship. If somebody is trying to censor what you are saying, that is absolutely not going to fly with you, and you will push the envelope as much as you need to. You guys also have a flair for being a little bit more provocative, and almost like the rules don't apply to you. You guys are always trying to kind of push and see how far you can go, because you're such like free-spirited in the way that you choose to speak things into existence or speak to others, that you will constantly push. You guys are not the type that are going to ask for permission. You're instead going to beg for forgiveness. You guys really do love to read and explore expansive ideas. You are deep logical thinkers, the opposite of Gemini. So you guys actually take things all the way in. When you mentally process something, you want to know the ins, the outs, all of the little facets, nooks and crannies. You don't just want to know the surface level facts. You want to know it all. You guys also will potentially jump from job to job if you do not feel mentally stimulated by the job that you currently possess or have possessed. And something that is a really strong suit for you guys, because you are also so optimistic in the way that you guys speak, you guys definitely bring people up around you because you have such optimism in your words. But on top of that, humor is such a strong suit for you guys. You guys are so freaking funny, and people love that about you. If you are a Capricorn Mercury, you never lose sight of the big picture. This is something that you guys are really, really, really good at. You're really good at processing, and even though you don't necessarily always love the little menial tasks, you guys will always remember the big grand scheme of things, and that will keep you going. You guys are extremely rational, and you always have a secret objective. It's actually very funny. People that have a lot of major Capricorn energy, period, if you guys are into Harry Potter, you guys will be or not all of you, but a lot of you guys actually are like Slytherins. I know a lot of Capricorns who are Slytherins. You have an air of authority when you guys speak. And I would say something that definitely is really hard if you have a Capricorn Mercury placement is like, you don't even mean to, but a lot of times you give off this like disapproving tone when you speak about things. It's like somebody's trying to express themselves openly to you and you give off this tone of like, not sure about that. And so it makes people not really want to open up as easily to you because it almost is like this air of like you shutting someone down if it just like doesn't make sense to you. You tend to have a very dry sense of humor, and you also tend to enjoy your elders more. You guys tend to actually want to follow more of a traditional path, and you tend to actually look to your elders as being wiser and being able to give better advice. I actually found that was really interesting in my research of this. You guys are also very goal-oriented thinkers. You do really well with responsibility. If somebody puts a responsible task on your shoulders, you guys are definitely going to be the ones who are going to carry it through. You guys also have a very cut to the chase attitude, and you don't really have as big of a patience for feelings, kind of the way that like Virgo is. You guys tend to get very impatient when it comes to people just kind of like blubbering or being really in their feelings. You're just like, oh my gosh, just like freaking put your head on your shoulders, walk forward and do the damn thing because you're so responsible. If you are an Aquarius Mercury, you guys have a beautiful, clever mind. You guys are out in space all the time, being super expansive. You guys are into the metaphysical usually. You guys are out here wanting to talk about aliens, the 5D consciousness. You guys have such expansive thoughts that a lot of people think that you are too much. They'll be like, whoa, you're a little bit much. I don't know about all of that. But you guys honestly are just so expansive. You don't shut down any idea. That's something that I actually really love about Aquarius Mercury placement specifically, is you can always be your most truest, best, authentic self with an Aquarius Mercury, and they are never going to judge where you're coming from. They're always going to understand or try to understand and see where you're coming from because they are so expansive. You will also tend to be a truth seeker, and you also enjoy intellectual discussion about philosophy, metaphysics. You have a progressive outlook on things. You guys are amazing activists usually. You are very charismatic and friendly because Aquarius actually rules over the 11th house, which is the house of friendship. So you guys are very easy to make friends with. Some people may find your ideas are too eccentric for them. I kind of already covered that. You are also a really great team player. Like, unlike, who do we talk about that isn't? Oh, unlike a Scorpio Mercury, you guys actually are really good at being a team player and getting things done as a team. And last but certainly not least, if you are a Pisces Mercury, you don't really use logic to get to the bottom of things at all. I actually feel like having a Pisces Mercury placement could be very difficult, just because you guys have laser sharp intuition. You tend to feel into things. You guys are borderline psychic. I think most people speak on Pisces as being a very highly intuitive sign. I would argue that yes, everybody has intuition that they can tap into, but I feel like Piscean energy is specifically very gifted in intuition and having a heightened sense of intuition. You guys, however, tend to lack self-confidence when you speak about things. So it's better for you guys, instead of speaking on the things that you believe or what you want to do or ideas, it's actually better for you guys to creatively show the world. You guys also have very deep sympathy for the fallen man or the follies of man. Even people that you think are outright liars, you guys tend to think that everybody has a story and where they've come from, and they are this way for a reason. And so you guys are extremely sympathetic to that. You also tend to lapse into victimhood if you're not careful, because you are so misunderstood that you will allow yourself to fall into victimhood of this like poor me, pity me attitude that is not going to be constructive or helpful. People may also find it hard to, I already said that, I'm sorry, that people will find it hard to understand you, and it's better just to show people instead of try to explain it. You also really do desire a calm atmosphere in order to sift through your mind, because you need to feel through it instead of think through it. So if you are in a chaotic environment, that's going to be really difficult for you. So that is all I have for you guys with all of the Mercury placements. I hope this was interesting and informative and you learned something new today. In closing, please do not forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I am at kozykale, and don't forget to check out my podcasts. I have Cozycast, which is my personal podcast, and then I have the Twin Flames podcast, which is the podcast that I run with my IRL twin flame. It's coming back in January of 2020. There's a lot of episodes that we already have up though, so if you want to check that out, please do. Links down below. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, all that information is also down below, and I will catch you guys in a future video. Bye. It's also directly linked to, you know what? Oh, something in my eyeball. Why? Okay.